All right, I'm going live, y'all. See if you can see me. Let me know. Is this waiting for me? How's it waiting for me? It says I'm live. Okay, there it goes. It just got that delay. So let me know in the chat if you can see me now. And let me see if I can move this camera up higher on my chest. Maybe y'all will be able to see more. Because I literally have a camera mounted to my chest. Let me know if that's better. Because I have it on top of my chest now. So maybe it's a better view. Is that better?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, so it's darn near on my chin, but if it makes it better for you all, then I'm all for it. Okay, so I'm just adding a few more pieces of masking tape because when I flipped it over, I wasn't very careful. I was trying not to hit my GoPro, and I kind of dislodged my pieces a little bit. So before you put all that tape on the back, it's okay to make sure that it's actually in a good position, okay? So if you have to go back a little bit, that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm just reinforcing before I flip it. And then I got to take off this, I told you I didn't have my tape ready. So do not put heat tape on the front. This is what will happen. It will eat up your sheet and take off the print. All right, so... And if you're in doubt, whatever tape you have, try it. Put it in an inconspicuous area. This is my bleed area right here in this corner. So I can put it down and then I can slowly pull it up and make sure that it's not going to mess up my print. Okay? So as a matter of fact, let me do this right now. If you need to make it less tacky, then you can put it on your garment. And actually this is probably a little too tacky because I just pushed it down all the way. All right, dag nabbit. That's my inconspicuous area. I just heard something in this corner, so y'all forgive me if I start running. All right, so here we go. Now I'm gonna finish taping this up while I have a little steam in my back right now because hovering over these big old sheets and these big boards will have your back burning. And y'all let me know on the Zoom group if y'all need help. Just unmute your mic for a second and give me a cue that you need help, okay? So I can hear you. Because I'm also paying attention to the comments. But why am I getting masking tape? It's supposed to be on heat tape now. You can go longer pieces and when you kind of get it going, but you just have to make sure you flatten it all the way down. All right, almost done. And I'll tell you in a little bit the reason why I had y'all trim it even on the outside. I'll tell you why in just a minute because I want to show it to you. Because I know some of you are probably wondering, well, if that's bleed area on the outside, why does it matter if there's white there? And it's just that I want you to understand that whatever you're covering right now has ink. Therefore, you should be able to know exactly what you're printing on. And this is probably my second to last piece of tape here. Last one up top. All right, now everything should be in place on the back. I'm gonna flip it around and remove my tape on the front. And I think this is the wrong tape. I think this is the stickier tape because I did not have this problem with my cheap tape, my little dollar store tape. Yeah, I would definitely untack this first. I'm spending too much time trying not to mess up my print. All right. It can be removed, but like I said, I would do as one of the members suggested and kind of make it less tacky by tacking it to your clothing. Because if I were, I could move a lot quicker right now if I weren't trying to be so careful. Alright. I'm not too concerned about these armpits, so that, and then this little piece here. And make sure you get it all up. I'm moving horribly right now. My back is hurting. And I'm trying to rush too. But yeah, the best thing, there is a really good green tape. That's painter's tape that has good amount of tack for holding, but removes really good. And I think this is not the masking tape that I typically use, but this is what I had on hand at the time. So this is the 3M Scotch masking tape. Don't use that one unless you're gonna de-tack it, I guess. And the one that I de-tacked did come off a lot better. My bad, guys. All right. Almost done. And for those of you who are getting to watch right now, this video probably won't be up. We had a little technical difficulty in our Zoom class where the Zoom wouldn't let my GoPro come on. So we had to do it on YouTube, hence why we're here with you all lovely people tonight. Alright. Let me know how the masking tape worked for you all and what type of masking tape y'all use, so we can make a list of the good, better, best type of deal. Because I promise, my little cheap tape, I did not have to play with it this much. All right, a few more pieces to remove. All right, I'm gonna get kind of bold with these next few pieces. I think that's it. That's it. I know that's in the collar, so I'm not really gonna take my time with that one. All right, so we have a full piece here ready to sublimate. So those in the class, y'all can let me know verbally if you're ready to go on to the press step. If you need any help right now, show your video on the Zoom session and I can see where it is that you are and how I can help you. Let me check on y'all for a second. Anybody need help? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step, which is making sure that we have our butcher paper. So you're supposed to have, I told you to have 3 sheets of butcher paper. And I'm going to show you a few different things. Let me put this in here. Just out of the way for a second. All right. Some little sample shirts out the way. All right. So that material we're going to do in one of our advanced cut classes, trying these different materials out. And that is called a ram board. But we all have the hardboard tonight. So I can swing this table over here a little bit. Told you to make sure that you have like a 44 by 36 inch. And that should be about the size of your board anyway. Well, that should be the exact size of your board. I'm sitting here trying to cut across my table right now. Let me get my little tool. And this is my little goody tools here. All right. This is what I usually cut my butcher paper with. This is like a little gift wrapper type of cutter. Protects the blade. All right. Get that tape out of the way. So we're going to set a piece of butcher paper to the bottom. And move that out of the way. I'm going to move our print out of the way for right now. And I'm just going to place it just out of the way. Got some randomness going on over here, but y'all know what it is. Okay. Bottom piece, let's go ahead and grab another piece. Now what I'm going to show y'all is a technique to kind of make an insert for the shirt. If you're only doing the front and you're scared it's going to bleed through, you can use this insert more than once. I showed this in the long video when I showed you how to do this the exact proper way. And these are some old 21Ms that I had. I think they got a little moisture in them, and I kept them for so long that they have these moisture spots in them, stains in them, so I can't use them for anything. So what a perfect opportunity to use them for this all over demonstration. All right, so I'm gonna take a pencil now. Make sure y'all are still with me. And I'm gonna trace out this shirt. You definitely want to make sure you don't mark on the shirt. Now when you trace out the shirt, make sure you leave some extra room down here and leave some extra room for the sleeves, but still make sure you slope the sleeves down. Okay, that's going to make sure that it doesn't bleed through. From the front of one sleeve, the excess doesn't bleed through to the back of the other sleeve. And then up here at the neck, you want to make sure you press your neck down and give yourself a little neck. Okay, that'll keep it from bleeding onto your tag area and through the back of the shirt. Now this is the technical, like, long way type, depending on what style of shirt you're using. If you're using those sublevies, it's absolutely going to bleed through. Absolutely. You have no choice but to put something in. And what you can do is you can just put something in through the body and then put different little pieces into the sleeves, into the neck. But if I do this way, then I can use this for a few different shirts. Oh, at the top, you see it right here? I just made like a little neck pop out. Okay. So now I can cut. And I'm going to cut inside of this line. I'm not going to cut on the line. I'm not going to cut on the outside. I'm going to cut inside of the line slightly because I know that I want this to not catch so much inside of the shirt. Now, this is also how you can create little jigs. You can do this with like a thicker poster board. I've done it with this RAM board here is good for that. You have to have one pretty much for every size. Matter of fact, I think I have my RAM board version somewhere. I'll show y'all that when I get done with this. But this also tells you what your sleeve layout is like. Because some sleeves are more straight out, some are more folded down. Those sub-V sleeves are a pain. And I know we've all been using sub-V lately because it's been almost the only thing that's consistently available. But it definitely has some issues when it comes to the sleeves. All right, I'm going to turn it around so you can see what this side looks like. And I know some people make these MDF boards or the hard boards with cutouts. I haven't really found that to be much more helpful than using like the RAM board, but if you all have a different experience, let me know. I'm definitely willing to listen and learn from you too. Get rid of paper out my way. All right, so once you get your shirt cut out, I want you to take your sleeves and I want you to kind of fold them in just a little bit so that when we get ready to insert it in the shirt, they won't be catching it in the way. All right, and then we're also going to take the whole shirt. Hopefully you can see me. Let me make sure. Take the whole shirt, and you don't have to fold it per se, but I am kind of making sure that it's going to stay folded as I pull it into the shirt. All right, so I'm going in upside down. Well, matter of fact, let me show you sideways, so I think you'll be able to see it better. I'm gonna take my neck and I'm gonna thread it through the inside of the shirt. This is a lot of work, just to let you know, warning in case you hadn't already figured that out. If I were doing front and back, and I had my good shirts, like either the Vapors or the 21Ms are pretty thick. I'm not so worried about them bleeding through, but those sub-V's is, yeah, you need to have something inside of your shirt. So I can take my sleeve now that I had folded up, and I'm gonna push it through this little armhole, just like I was dressing a mannequin or a doll. And you can also tell once you make this one time, keep one of the versions so you can just recut it. Because sometimes you'll end up tweaking it, making the sleeves a little smaller, making the neck a little more narrow. And I think we might end up trimming the sides of this a little bit, but there we go. In place, in place. All right, so we should be at this point right now. I'll give y'all a few moments to get caught up, because hopefully at this point we don't have any issues making this. But if you do, I won't move on until I know that everybody is good on this step. All right, and you all feel free to chime in on Zoom if you need some help. You need me to look at your screen, you need me to look at your camera and your workspace and check you out. So I'm gonna give you a few minutes because I know we have a delay here. I want to make sure that y'all are good. And you all feel free to chime in on Zoom if you need some help. You need to look at your screen. Looks good. Looks good. In your workspace and check you out. So who's that? I'm seeing Helena. Good job, Helena. You got it, girl. All right, so Helena's showing off right now. She's showing y'all that she's ready to go. Next phase. And I'm gonna go ahead and trim because I'm doing a smaller shirt. I can trim this down a little bit. And I still have plenty of space for my bleed. Let me know if y'all need me to check you out. Okay. Now the next step is you're supposed to kind of pre-press this, get wrinkles and moisture out. I like to pre-press it with the paper inside of it. Some people will pre-press it first and then put the paper in, but I noticed that this helps me keep my sleeves a little bit straighter. Now these 21Ms don't have as big of a problem with the sleeves. You will see some of the missing ink from the folds in the fabric. That's natural. You're always going to see that in sublimation. But what I don't like is with the I'll turn this around. With the Subla shirts, you literally have to origami fold in the armpits, and it's always super apparent that you have ink missing in those areas. So the other thing about the Subla shirts is that they are so thin that the seams create a very, very uneven pressure. So depending on, you don't have a lot of playroom when it comes to having your pressure set just right. Okay, so I'm getting ready to go ahead and put this bad boy on the press. So I'm just getting my little tools out of the way for the moment. Oh, I think this is the one I was trying to show you I was looking for. Oh, I lied. That's not it. It's somewhere under here. I guess I'll show y'all when I move this board. But I do have a version of this shirt cut out for, I think it's a adult small or a youth shirt. But it's definitely reusable. All right, so I'm going to take my board and place it underneath the press. Be careful, don't burn yourself. I don't know if you have a clamshell or a swing away. I like to do this on my swing away because my swing away gives me more consistent pressure. But I know most of you have clamshell, so I decided to do this up here at the shop so y'all can see it on the clamshell. Okay, and LaQuisha, I got you, love. I see what you're talking about. I'm gonna move my computer out of the way. Hopefully. Y'all don't laugh at me if I trip over these cords. I really wasn't prepared for all of this technical difficulty today. All right, so before we even think about the print, we're gonna go ahead and just pre-press, get some wrinkles out. You can pre-press with a cover sheet or not. I don't. And make sure your pressure, I think last time I pressed on this, I was pressing without a board. So depending on what type of shirt you have, you may need more or less pressure. Those Subla is really fickle because when you put a lot of pressure on them, the pressure becomes so uneven that it creates these lines in your press. And you can tell because you can look at the edge of the press and see that a line has dug into your shirt. In the advanced class, we're going to have some solutions to that. Right now, if you end up with a little line, it happens to the best of us. I promise y'all, I did a shirt order like this, and probably what, 15% of the shirts I messed up because I had this little faint line in them, and it's because my heat press was digging into them, and it's because I was using those darn Subla V shirts to do all overs. So when I tell you those things gave me heartache, that's what happened. Now notice I am pivoting the paper instead of the board. Here's another thing I want you to do, that I did this the other day. I took something just to stack up. Let me grab these little, this is just scrap, basically trash. You can build it up with maybe something that has a little thickness to it, a box or something. But the reason why, come on, let me get it. There we go. The reason why I use this is because I don't like my board warping down. If you see how it's kind of just bending down, so I like to have a table surface to the left and to the right of me, and then I like to put something underneath it. I don't have a lot of randomness up here right now, so I just took some old paper, balled it up, made a certain thickness so that I have something to rest this on, so that it doesn't just completely bow down. And I probably should do a little bit better on this side if I had that kind of time and energy today. All right, so there we go. And if you notice, I have a lot less drape. Okay, the less drape is gonna just allow me to have a more even surface to spin this around. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I include a little more than half of this collar. No, in this case, I'm gonna do 3 presses to the top. I could do 2 presses turning it sideways, but what I'm noticing with these Subla V shirts is that if you have the entire collar under a press, it does some craziness. So I'm gonna try this with the 21M and see if I'm gonna get the same craziness that I got yesterday when I use those Subla V's. So you see how the entire collar is underneath the press right now? It's such uneven pressure with the Subla V's, with the whole neck and the sleeves underneath there, that it digs a huge dent in the shirt right here. And this is a mild dent, but these shirts are a little bit thicker, so they take a little bit better to the pressing. The Subla V shirts are so thin that where the overlap fabric and the seams are, it makes it too much of a variable difference. All right, so I have my pre-press done. It looks pretty decent. What you think? What you think? All right, next I'm getting ready to lay my print on there. So I like to turn it upside down so that I can make sure, and you can see all this moisture. Like I said, this is a mess up shirt, so that's why I'm using it. I have everything as flat as possible. You see my sleeves aren't too bad. These 21Ms were not bad when they were in stock. All right, so now I'm going to take my print, turn it upside down, sleeves up high. And this is where I was telling you that if you printed the boxy style sleeves, you can't really mess up. Wherever you see paper, there is print. Okay, and that's why, remember I told y'all to trim all the way around? I even wanted you to trim the outside, because guess what? If I just barely made it off of this shirt and I had a little white line still around here, I wouldn't know that it's going to leave a white line on my shirt. So just to be safe, and because this is a beginner class, I want you to understand that everywhere you have paper, you have ink. So there's no need to worry about whether you don't have ink on these edges, okay? Now what I'm doing, I told y'all to create a little fold in the middle here, right? Guess what that's for? Now you can see where the center of your print is, and I start down low, making sure that I keep with that center, and I pull it up slowly until I cover the entire shirt. And then what I do is I can see through my print, and I'm kind of touching here too, because I can touch on my print and I can feel where the edge of my shirt kind of rolls off, and then I can feel a little lower, and I can see that I have way more space on this side than on this side, so I can shift that. And then I'm just filling down the shirt, making sure I'm staying kind of parallel there, and I think I'm good. I think I'm ready to press. So I'm gonna stop here, see if anyone on the Zoom has any questions, and before we take on this part, let's make sure we don't all have to be at the same point, but if you have any questions at this point, I want to make sure I can address them. All right, so anybody on Zoom have any issues? I'm going to give y'all a moment to chime in if you do. Well, all right, now for the next step. I get a little bold. I don't use cover paper every time over the top, but what I have, let's make sure we don't all have to be at the same point. But if you have any questions at this point, I want to make sure I can address.
Are you using the spray?
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, the spray is definitely helpful. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, because we either need the spray or tape. I'm so used to using my prints on the tacky paper.
Are you using the spray?
I'm sorry, it's a little delay, but I definitely heard your question. So we have the Eco Mist adhesive spray. The one that I really like is Condi Dye-Trans, but this one is a lot less expensive, and I use it a lot for socks. I barely use this for shirts because usually I'm using a tacky paper, and I did bring one of my all over prints to have tacky paper so we can see the difference. Now if you don't have adhesive spray, you can, just for the sake of things not moving around too much, and I guess I'll do it at the end just to show you. Let's go ahead and do the tacky spray first. If you have tacky spray, I just didn't want you to think if you don't have tacky spray you can't do this lesson today. All right, so really and truly, you should not be spraying underneath your heat press. Let me give a disclaimer. I'm just gonna bring this over here to the side and just go ahead and spray on over here. Now it is a mist. You don't want to put big old globs down on your stuff because it will show up in your print. And fill it right. Yep. Got a little light tack, and I'm gonna put a little bit more in the center here. All right. So great question. I'm glad I stopped because that would have been a part that we missed out on. All right. So same thing, same idea here. Now this is going to be a little more difficult to place with the tacky paper. But not impossible. Same thing here. I'm checking my distance. I need to shift this a little bit. And then also I'm going to make sure that I didn't create any unnecessary wrinkles when I shifted this. Probably put a little too much spray tag. Now here's the thing too, let's see this little area right here. If you want to, you can spread it and then tack it. And it's not going to do miracles. You're still going to see those wrinkles a little bit, but as I spread it, I squish that onto the design. So as much ink as I can get in those little cracks where it was having those little wrinkles, it will do as good as it can do. And I'm just checking. Just checking. I think we're good. All right, so tape wise, let's say you didn't have any spray, and now my fingers are a little sticky, but you can also alternatively just go and lay you a few pieces of tape. Don't go tape crazy. The only reason why you're doing this tape right now is so that when you're shifting this print around and spinning it around, that it's not moving on you. Maybe a couple pieces per sheet, because you're also going to have to rip this tape up when you're done. And you don't need big pieces of tape either. I don't know why I'm making these pieces so big. You just need something to kind of tack it in place. Turn my sheet. And turn your sheet. Don't be bending all crazy and twisting your torso, because this does take a beating on your back. All right. So I did tape it just to show you that method. I wouldn't even tape the bottom because if you have everything else, the bottom's fine. All right. So I think I need to set my settings a little bit different for this, but we're about to see. Because of the uneven pressure, most times I do a little more heat and less temperature. I mean, a little less temperature and more time. And this board is in my way. I can't even get to my mode. Let me see if I can. That burning up the GoPro. All right. All right, and it's not really 375. It's more like 390. This press is like just an old baby, and every now and then I have to calibrate it, call the people. I will tell you this press is probably 15 years old, and the manufacturer will still get on the phone with me and help me calibrate it and stuff when it does little crazy stuff like that. I just been lazy and haven't done it yet. But the name brands to go by are Hottronics. And I think Hicks has very good, not Hicks is good, Geonite or Georgianite, Geonite. My brain isn't working quite too well tonight, but one of those. It might even be Georgianite, and then also people call it Geonite. But those are very good warranty US made presses if you can afford to upgrade to them. I did just upgrade recently. Like I said, I'm getting ready to move, so I'll have one of those to evaluate for you all. I've never had to evaluate new presses because my old presses are like rock steady presses. I'm talking about old school. One of my presses is 20 years old. Okay, and it's I think now they call them Instas, but back in the day it was like Magic Press or something like that. So that boy is a beast. That's my swing away. It's heavy, it's consistent, does what it does, and most I've had to do is change out fuses when fuses have gone bad over time. All right, let's see what y'all are talking about. Let me see these comments. I've never tried the Cricut shirts. I would like to try them. I heard they're thicker, so I would definitely like to try them. I would have to see how they work with the collars and the sleeves, where they hem. They're usually really thick, and that throws off the evenness and the pressure. What kind of board is this? This is a hard board from Home Depot or Lowe's. If you go to the Innate Academy for this course, you can actually see, even for free, I have the what is required for this class. I have the whole listing of what we use for this class for free. Now, if you want to actually go through the class beginning to end like we did, you'll have to purchase the course, but you definitely can see, of course y'all are here tonight, you're seeing this part, but even this will probably be updated and revised and perfected for the Academy. All right, so good questions, guys. Let me see, anyone on the Zoom session right now? Are y'all good? Y'all ready to move on? Okay, looks like y'all are either ready or tired. Come on, let's do it. Y'all y'all say y'all ready, right? Let's do it. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start with the top here. I'm just gonna go ahead and go in. I probably should have checked my pressure to make sure I had at least 5 or 6 here, but I didn't, so we're gonna just try it out. I got a 5. Just off of trial and error. All right, and this is gonna be 60 seconds between presses, so if y'all have questions, just go ahead and let me know and I can look down and see what you got going on. The width of butcher paper is 36 inches. And again, that's on the, if you go to innateacademy.com or academy.innatelab.com, you'll see everything that you need. It said 36-inch butcher paper, scissors. Of course, you can use fancier things like a rotary cutter, X-Acto knife, and a cutting board. Oh, that's what I meant to tell you. I meant to tell you I prefer that you use a top sheet, because depending on how much ink you put down. Some of y'all use that premium presentation matte setting, and it can lay down quite a little bit of ink. Now it really shouldn't matter because everything that you press is a sheet of paper, so it will absorb the ink on the subsequent presses. But one thing I noticed that the cover paper does is it kind of evens out a little bit of that unevenness when it comes to the pressure issues. So I'm going to do an overlap. I'm doing at least 2 finger widths, which is about 2 inches of overlap. And I'm trying to make sure I keep kind of straight here too. There we go. I didn't do that great of a straight. You see my straight ain't straight. Y'all see that? Let's see what else. I was trying to think of what's on my list of materials that you needed. Yes, but I should have put a cover paper over it. And as a matter of fact, I don't really use cover paper like that. I was trying to show y'all the appropriate way, and it does save you a little bit of inconsistency in that in these shirts that have the thicker collars, thicker sleeves, but thinner material. So if you're doing, but I noticed I still had issues. Those Subla shirts, I wanted to love them. I do actually really like them for the 13x19 prints. They're really soft, they're really breathable, but for these all overs, Lord, I'm waiting for the 21Ms to come back in stock. All right, so last press, and you notice I'm not moving the board, I'm moving the paper. And matter of fact, speaking of moving, let me move that tape out of the way. So see how I can kind of come off the edge of the board now? And I'm good. Now you could have, this is a large shirt, I could have very well have turned my paper to the side and did just like we laid the paper out. I could have pressed that way as well. But I'm trying to teach you the consistent way to do it. If you had an extra large, you'll probably end up doing, well, extra large you might be able to get in 2 presses like that too. But for everything else larger than that, you're going to do 1, 2, 3 at the top, and then 2 to 3 at the bottom, depending on how big the shirt is. So I can get away with this with 4 presses, but I'm showing you the longer way just because I don't want you to miss and have ink missing off of this sleeve. And I can kind of peek. Let me peekaboo a little bit. A little peekaboo a little bit. Okay. So we're letting that roll. All right, like I said, this is an old school, but this thing still be popping. It don't pop all the way open anymore though. I think it's missing a magnetic mechanism or something, but it don't stop me because it does at least pop up to where it's not so challenging to open it. All right, so I'm making sure I overlap that center, and I can tell by the yellowing in the paper what has been pressed. Now I'm doing a lot of overlapping, and this extra overlapping does sometimes cause too much ink to be either pulled back from, because you're heating the same area up twice. And the sublimation paper can do 2 things. It can either deposit more ink down, or it can actually start kind of like picking ink back up. So you want to be careful of that. I'm doing an extreme overlapping right now, so you'll be able to see what that result is. And let me know how y'all like the GoPro type of deal, because I'm trying out something where I like to do my demonstrations in first person. So you can pretend like you're me and you can wave your arms around and talk with your hands. Not really, but so that you can see first person what I'm doing, so you can line yourself up to do the exact same thing versus looking at me opposite on camera and, you know, worrying about is that her left or her right, or, you know, that sort of thing. All right, so here we go. Last press. Let's do it. Now I did see my paper kind of puff up a little bit there, so I might have a problem. So I'm doing a little sneak peek. I'm getting these little areas ready to pull up because I did put a little tape down. Okay, a little sneak peek. Not bad. The moment of truth is around this collar. I probably could have done a little more pressure around this collar, but I'm probably not going to press it again now that I've picked it up. It's not bad though. Not bad at all. It's actually really good. I'm just extremely hard on myself, as I know a lot of you are too. And I want you to see too, you see how this gas escaped from the side of the page? This is why we needed to have cover paper. You see that? That gas escaped from the side of that print, because we pretty much either you print off the edge, which I don't recommend you do borderless printing, because it messes with your printer and your print quality after a while, because it keeps hitting the corners and the edges of the paper. But if we had cover paper, we wouldn't have to worry about this gas releasing, because sublimation is a gas when it gets heated up, and it could potentially be on this platen somewhere. Okay, so moment of truth. I'm gonna move this off of the heat press so I don't bust my knuckles. These clamshell is something else when it comes to getting your hands underneath them. So let's see, we're just gonna go ahead and rip off the band-aid. How did we do? Now what I am seeing is where I lazily pulled up that masking tape and didn't take my time. Bimio. All right, so here is the prints. This is my True Colors ink. You feel me? Y'all see the banner and whatnot. So make sure you check out True Colors. We're gonna do some stuff in the future as far as calibration of colors and all that good stuff. So that's it. I can show you here the 21Ms do so much better when it comes to these sleeves. If this were the Sublevi, let me tap my screen so I can see if I can see it. If this were the Sublevi, it would be like a big old triangle. Like I said, you have to fold it in like origami, and all that is tucked into that fold. When you pop it out, like I just popped out my thumb, I don't know if y'all get that, it'll all be white, no ink on it, because you had to tuck it in when you were pressing. And I think that contributes to the uneven pressing too, because that's a lot of fabric to be folded up and buckled in right there. All right, but if you use this little paper insert, see how it helps keep everything straight and flat? It took extra time, but it makes a difference. Okay, so now I can kind of pull this out, and I folded my sleeve right on back in, and then I'm gonna pull this right on out so I keep my integrity in my little sleeves. And in the advanced class, we'll be learning some different materials we can use for the inserts, such as this little board I told y'all I was going to show you. Here it is. Yeah, I did it for a youth shirt. As a matter of fact, so this board was used for, let me show you. Excuse my mess, guys. Let's see, which one did we do for this one? Okay, so this shirt here, this is the insert that we use for this youth. What's that? This is a Sublevi too. This is a Sublevi youth small. So I'll bring that. That helped to keep it straight. And I don't have the little lines in it because I use this to kind of help absorb this material here. Help to absorb some of the inconsistencies in the thickness of this shirt. Okay, so I was able to kind of achieve that. There is one of these that were messed up. They had the lining on this one. So I did this one without the and I want you to see this. I literally can see. I don't know if y'all can see. Maybe I went too far from my phone. Hold on, let me bring both of these back, because y'all might not be seeing nothing I'm doing right now. Okay. All right. Let me show you in detail. Let's take these off of these little t-shirt forms so you can see what I'm talking about with these Sublevis. All right. So this isn't anything I want y'all to get into or get worried about tonight. I just want you to have an idea of what we'll be doing in some of the advanced classes. So we'll be doing some of the same stuff. We'll just be learning about extra materials you can use, solutions. Now these sleeves, okay, so here's the deal. If you try to minimize the amount of white meat in the armpits, you end up with some crazy mess on the top of the sleeve, and vice versa. If you have a perfect top of the sleeve, you usually end up with a big old gash underneath the armpits. Now these are youth shirts, which aren't nearly as bad as the adult shirts. But what I wanted to show you is that this shirt was done with the ram board. And the ram board is just something you can get from Lowe's, Home Depot. I think it's Home Depot though. I think Lowe's has a different brand. It's not called ram board. But it's a paper product, a little bit, well, a lot thicker than your cardstock, but thinner than cardboard. Okay, and it doesn't have the corrugated lines going through it like cardboard. Yeah, cardboard does. Now I wanted to show you, this was done with just straight, nothing inside of it. And you see how I have my press lines here? It's because there's so much difference in pressure where this collar is, where this sleeve is, all of that, all of this little, I told you all this stuff up underneath the armpits. All of that has so much high pressure that is digging into certain areas. And sometimes you'll have issues with that, okay? Just giving you a heads up. So if you have that happen tonight, cool, show it to me. Let's talk about it, okay? So let me know what y'all came up with. If anybody has a finished product, please let me see. If you had any problems pop up, now's the time to talk about it. So you all can unmute your mic and ask me questions if you want. I'm going to check out the chat just in case. Oh, here's the other thing I wanted to do. I'm also going to show you this process. Instead of using this tile method, because that's what we came here to learn, I'm going to put this over to the side in case y'all want to see that later, how that turned out. We're going to go ahead and do the back of this shirt with a print from the large format printer, okay? And you'll get to have some understanding of the time savings in the process. So I have a couple of little sheets pre-cut here. Place one down. And you know what? I should have, my silly billy self, I should have kept my insert in, but let's put it back in, and that way I can show you how you might be able to reuse it. So again, let's fold the sleeves in. I'm going to go ahead and place it inside of the shirt, just like I did before. And open up the centerpiece and pull one sleeve through. So I guess we're getting a little recap. It's not bad that I did this. Pull one sleeve through. Let's go ahead and pull the other sleeve through. Uh-oh. Shiitake mushrooms. I kind of tugged on it a little too hard, and I can hear that I ripped my sleeve up a little bit. My bad, little buddy. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can get this back adjusted to how it was before. Alright, looks good. Now I see that when I'm looking at the back, I have to almost either repress it again, or I have to determine if I have some areas that have folds I need to get out. Now what I would do with this, I hope y'all can see this big old wrinkle right here in the back, is I would probably have to get out a hand iron or repress that area in the back. So, because it was actually pressed deep into it whenever I pressed the front of the shirt. So let me see if I can heat it out a little bit. Now I'm not going to put a lot of pressure. I'm going to try to relax it out first with heat and very light pressure. See if I can get it to just relax a little bit, because it's really a high peaks in it. Okay, that will affect your print. Okay, now I'm try to add a little more pressure to it. And have my big boy roll right here. And what you can do, if you really want to see, oops, I forgot about you. All right, so you see that blue that's on there? That's what I was talking about. Because of the outgassing of the ink on the sides, that's what the cover paper would have been for. All right, so I don't trim these anymore. I used to trim them when I first got started. So if you feel uncomfortable, go ahead and trim the outside. Trim this contour of this big old print, so you can get an idea of where you are. Most times though, you can pretty much see right through the paper and you know about where you are. All right, and for this one, a lot of times I'll take my print and I will kind of fold it in the middle, just like at the top and bottom, to see my center line. And then again, I'm trying to make sure that my print is equidistant, my center image is equidistant from the sides of these shirts. And I don't have to do a spray here because this is a tacky paper. It's a light tack paper. Shoot, I forgot that thing was hot. So once we press it down once, it should give a little bit of tack, and that way it doesn't shift around too badly, or it shouldn't shift around at all. And again, I'm going to start at the top. So I'm going to shift this whole thing around, hopefully without bumping it. Because right now it is not tacked at all. It doesn't tack until you put heat down on it. So now I can check down here at the bottom. Okay, am I equidistant? Pretty much on the sides there. Here's the edge of my shirt. Here's the edge of my shirt. About 2 finger widths to the edge of my graphic. And I guess I'm good. I'm gonna start. I can feel the edge of the shirt here too. Make sure it's completely underneath that press. All right, let's do it. So now I'm gonna take questions because it's gonna be another 5 presses. So that's 5 minutes we have to talk. Okay, I'm looking at questions now. Oh, y'all couldn't hear me. Oh, you know the reason why you couldn't hear me on Zoom? Because I walked away from the computer and I had the GoPro on me. So you could probably see the video but not hear me on Zoom. What is the current cost for an all over? Well, the cost is going to vary. So we just did a tile method, right? For a large shirt, we used 4 sheets of 13 by 19 paper. So you can kind of assume that a 13 by 19 sheet of paper is around about 50 cents. Then your ink cost is usually pretty much negligible, but you can say 50 cents per page. So let's say that your sublimation prints cost you about $1 per page. That's not including the equipment cost. That's just including the raw materials, right? So it costs you about $1 per print. You printed 4 of them. Hopefully you didn't mess up anything in the process, which you know happens sometimes when your 70s, 10s, and 20s kind of cut in the middle. So for about, let's round up, let's say for about $6, you were able to print off these tiles and tile them together. Now the time that you spend tiling, you definitely want to charge for that. Or you can use the same strategy as if I had gotten this printed as large sheets. What would I have charged, or what would I have been charged? So we charge $14 for the full big sheet already printed. We roll it up, ship it to you for $9.99 flat rate shipping. And that's whether you get 1 print or 1,000 prints. We only charge you $9.99 to ship it to you. Now with that, you're getting a sheet that's already done up, ready to press. You don't have to tile anything, but you are paying $14 per print when you're doing less than 10 of one design. And then if you do 10 or more of the same design, you're only paying $11 per print. But so you have $6 per print printing at home, $11 per print with it ready to go if you have 10 or more of the same design. If not, then you're paying $14 a print, and you have to decide whether it's worth it for you. Now, if you ever want to get into large format printing, entry level, you're looking at around about $4,500 to get a 44-inch printer that you can convert to a sublimation printer. And I have, let me show y'all. This is what I like to do. I don't suggest y'all do it, but every time I sublimate something, I think I have all the time in the world to go walk around and do other shit. I mean, other stuff. So let me see if I can show y'all. Okay, so this is some of the madness that's going on right now. Oh, and my bike. So these are the bottles for the large format ink. These are the syringes to pull the air out, and the funnels. So you fill up these cartridges, use a funnel, you pour that big old ink in them, and this is one cartridge. I'm gonna show y'all, but I'm gonna go back over here to the press because there it goes. This way. Oh, I keep walking away from the computer, y'all. Y'all see me? I'm